Now it's time for news and comment. First, the news.
Good evening and welcome to Christianity News Flash, where we investigate the scriptures and compare our findings with the beliefs and practices of traditional and mainstream Christianity, all for the purpose of separating biblical fact from Christian fantasy. This just in. Satan, otherwise known as the devil, is not really real. According to the Hebrew Scriptures, that is what we commonly refer to as the Bible, Satan, which means adversary in Greek and Hebrew, was not and is not some spiritual evil superpower roaming around today like a roaring lion ready to devour you or me. But make no mistake about it, the Bible does indeed teach and describe an adversary, a Satan, throughout the redemptive story, and that adversary was finally and fully defeated by and through the work of Christ in the first century. So from the beginning in Genesis, there was a serpent. And from that point on, this adversarial serpent line, if you will, remained in and was thread through the story until finally, at the end, according to Revelation, that very same devil, that dragon, that Satan, or that serpent of old, was defeated by Christ and his church. In fact, in the early to mid-60s, Paul told the church in Rome that this very same victory over this very same adversary was sure and it was soon. Romans 16:20, and the God of peace will crush Satan under your feet shortly. So the more accurate question becomes, what or who exactly is this adversary throughout the story? Now, admittedly, there are some passages in the Old Testament, such as Isaiah 14 and Ezekiel 28, that have taken out of context and the nature of the Hebraic writing is ignored, might at first blush appear to be describing some spiritual super being who fell from God's favor. And from there, if left to the imagination, it might seem natural to assume this spiritual super being becoming an evil boogeyman, if you will, and God's number one enemy, wreaking havoc on humans throughout history through temptation. But in truth, Satan throughout the Bible is never that. That adversary never existed.
And now, the comment.
You know what? I tell you what, when we've been indoctrinated into something like the existence of this kind of a devil, even considering that there might be some other viable and biblical view, man, it can be incredibly difficult. I get that. And simply questioning a belief, it is frowned upon because the justification for that belief is the Bible. And to question the Bible is actually heresy in and of itself. Then it becomes almost impossible, I think, to look outside, the most common and accepted paradigm. So I get it. This is tough stuff to even consider. But look, at best, the invention of Satan or the devil, as we have come to know him and accept him, it is simply a product of gross misinterpretation. But that's at best. At worst, you know what it is? It's a man-made, carefully crafted concept designed by the pious and privileged leaders throughout church history for the purpose of maintaining power and manipulating the masses. That is the worst case scenario, and that is what I fear. And I know you think, hey, this guy's nuts. And you know what? And that's fine. You may think that you can easily show me in the Bible where and how I'm wrong, and that's fine. And I would like to give you the opportunity to do that. So, if you would like me to explain in more detail with Scripture, I would love to do that. And I will, but you first. You need to do your part. You have to meet me in the middle. So in order to do that, you can do one of two things. Number one, you can respond to me directly with your own thoughts, okay? Simply show me with Scripture how I'm mistaken. But please explain your Scriptures with a little context to demonstrate your point. Explain your Scriptures. Don't just cite Scripture. There's a big difference there. Now, perhaps you're not as confident in your biblical knowledge as you'd like to be, and that's fine, but you're quite certain that I'm mistaken on this. So I always ask people, if that's the case, you know what? Go ask somebody who might know. And who better to ask than the one who knows everything about the Bible, your pastor. Go ask your pastor. Ask him to demonstrate with Scripture the doctrine of Satan as this evil spiritual superpower, a fallen angel, or whatever. And then send his answers my way, or have him respond to me directly. Again, with Scripture and some scriptural explanation, please. And if I get enough people to respond, I promise that I will then reply with a full explanation, a full lesson on a future segment in my video series, Ask Your Pastor. So you do your part and I will do mine. That is it for now. We'll see you next Newsflash. So long.
This has been News and Comment.